base to be taken rather than a natural. But spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of Zen, we're looking inside of the main base of the South Korean Zerg, who goes by the name of soO. His opponent, sending that very quick probe scout, probably because of the map that we're on. Zen is a little bit crazy with the double entrance into the natural. Already a very strange wall off right here, coming up for the Protoss. Playing with the pink Protoss probes, we're looking inside of the main base of Zest. Now, obviously, I did also cast that amazing game between Haas and Cats. If you haven't seen that match yet, I highly recommend you go ahead and check it out after this one. I'll post a link to it down below in the description of this game, because there's no denying that that was one of the most ridiculous matches of ZVP that I've ever seen. Anyways, it is going to be a very standard expansion right here on the low ground. I'm curious to see, though, how Zest decides to hold on here. This is all so weird, man. I gotta say, so far, the games that I've casted on Zen, they have all been amazing, right? Which is why I decided to pick this game. They have all been excellent just because of the double entrance into the natural. Like, look at this building positioning here for Protoss at this point. This is so odd. Normally, right, we have one pylon at the front that powers most of the structures to create the wall off, second pylon in the main base to hide any kind of tech structures. At this point, I guess that soO will figure out exactly what's going on very early. I mean, it's going to be attached to either of these two pylons. We will probably have a look here in just a second. Either way, though, since soO was supposed to take his expansion pretty early, at least with the build order that he was going for, and he couldn't, he decided to go for the third base instead. This also creates a bit of a strange dynamic, because at this point, right, you need Zerglings in both locations. So he's going to go for, yeah, a set of Zerglings right here, over in the main base as well, and then that Queen over here, and then a couple at the third, because otherwise you lose drones. He's also now actually decided to send a couple of those bad boys across the map. Now, in the main base, I don't know if this Adept is going to commit. Actually, it could. Ooh, very risky. Very risky there by soO, not responding to it. Yeah, okay. He is going to force that recall on the Adept by sending the Zerglings into the natural of the Protoss. So apparently the best defense is the offense. But it will now spot that the Stargate indeed has been made. But already this build order here for Zest is strange. This is a bit of an awkward build. Because like I said, normally you attach that tech structure that you go for, the Twilight, the Robo, or the Stargate, to the second pylon. And right now it's a second gateway coming up there. He decided to attach it to the third pylon instead. Decides to actually cancel the Stargate and now go Robo, Twilight, Council instead. Okay, this game is already miles better than the one that I casted previously. Both players trying to outsmart each other. Just because of the map layout, they are forced to play differently. And now with that Council on the Stargate, and the triple Adept actually at this point in the game is a little bit strange as well. Now with the Council on the Stargate, this is going to force a response out of the Zerg. So soO, adding on those Spore Crawlers. Now obviously any kind of Twilight and Robotech will certainly be a little bit delayed at this point. But, I mean, you can certainly go for, like, all kinds of aggressive pushes off of this as well. Does he go Dark Shrine with this? He decides to go Templar Archives. Okay, fair enough. So he is likely going to go for some Archon drops in just a little bit. The thing is, if you fake a Stargate, right? Or I guess he made a Stargate and then canceled it. But if you show a Stargate, your opponent is likely going to get Spore Crawlers out. So that's exactly what soO is doing here. He's gonna have that detection, right? So if you go Dark Templar off of this, yeah, you've outsmarted your opponent, but you've essentially played yourself. Doesn't really change all too much. Anyways, with this bit of an unorthodox start, though, to the game, Zest is gonna have a harder time, I think, taking the third. He does have a couple of Adepts, but these Zerglings, they can certainly get a very good surround here. Should be able to pick up at least 2 of them before the Shade completes. That one Zealot actually joining the fray as well. Looks like the probe will be picked off, but he's making a few more extra Zerglings, but it doesn't seem like an amount of Zerglings that's really gonna commit to killing a third base. I think that this third base will go up relatively uncontested here, as Zest tries to up his economy. Now I like this. So here we go. This is like an old school build. This is something that we saw for a little bit. I think about a year or so ago. These Zerglings not right on top of them at the very start, so they're gonna damage shields a bit, but not gonna do too much. Oh, Archons are so good when it comes to killing Zerglings. It's where they shine. Small clumped up units, they will eat those for days. Now you need to be very careful. One of the Archons very low on shields. And the nice thing about this kind of build is that the Archons are still going to be helpful later on as well. But you can really keep the Zerg player pinned back. Now, at least on paper, soO decides to now send the Zerglings once again across, judging by the fact though that there's a shield battery. a Zealot and then an Adept as well, and then a Stalker. I mean, I don't think there's going to be all too much damage that can be done, unless that Zealot is sleeping. Woohoo! Zest, very, very risky move there. Decides to, you know, move that Zealot there at the last second. Whenever I do that, all of the links run into my base. But I think so far, everything is okay. Okay, so Zest does want to make that transition. So, what we saw him do in that previous game, right, is go for a lot of Stargate units, max out on those, and that was the end of things, right? So, he decided to go for Stargate units and then sit back for the majority of the game. Looks like he wants to take a similar approach right here once again, although he starts off with triple Stargate Phoenix. Okay, triple Stargate Phoenix plus a very quick flyer upgrade. Alrighty. This is not something I've seen before. Normally, double Stargate Phoenix, that's something we have very, very often. Usually that's started, though, off of 2 bases. Triple Stargate Phoenix is a little bit strange. In the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, soO is gonna go for the Nidus Worm plus the Swarm Host combination. So Nidus Swarm Host, very powerful, of course, but also very difficult to defend for the Protoss. Right? Now the thing is, usually if Protoss manages to go up to about 140, 150-ish supply, they are gonna feel way more confident about holding that kind of push. But usually that's also with an army composition that has splash damage in it. Now on paper, I guess, and here's the first Nidus Worm. Swarmos are gonna be entering that in a second. Normally, you have like Archons and like Storm and maybe some Colossus, sometimes even Disruptors to deal with that kind of stuff. Right now he's gonna have triple Stargate Phoenix, which he hasn't shown yet, right? So this is completely unscouted at this point by the Zerg player. Second Nidus Worm right now goes up as well. Here we go, by the way. Archons have decided to move on over here. I love that. Did you see that? Beautiful drops there by Zest. Decided to drop down the Archons, force those Locusts to land. Right now, they're walking. They're freaking walking. They're not going to get anything done. Forcing those Locusts to land and then picking up the Archons once again, killing basically all of those Locusts just because their timer really is not that long. A couple of Queens now also get picked up. Now, very quick response actually also by soO. Decides to bring a couple of drones across the map through that Nidus network, and he now planted down a couple of Spore Crawlers. Okay, so while I haven't really seen this kind of build before, it looks like soO knows exactly what to do. You can see, though, the supply count very heavily in favor right now of the Protoss, which normally never happens when you open up with the Swarm Hosts. That is so many Phoenixes. Huh. So wait, I was making the assumption that he would make, oh, actually, hold that thought. We do have now actually a big Locust wave heading over towards the third base. This was completely unscouted. The Locusts are going to be able to kill the Nexus, and that's a painful, painful loss. This slows down the economy of the Protoss so much. But what I was trying to say, when he first added on the Stargates, right, I really assumed, once again, here's the Nidus Whack-A-Mole, I really assumed that this was going to be a little bit more like focused around carriers and Storm and all that. Actually, losing that third base is a disaster. Yeah, he's got a decent amount of supply right now, but I mean, having these Phoenixes, it's yeah, not the best. I mean, there's a couple of Spore Crawlers over here too. You're not really going to be able to engage. And the economy right now really is nothing to write home about. These Locusts probably won't be able to deal too much damage, but it's all about keeping the Zerg player or the Protoss player busy right now, right? If you're the Zerg player, you don't really want Protoss to get their big economy out, and this is just simply keeping them contained. Now, in the meantime, at home, soO is going up towards the fourth base. He really doesn't have a lot of workers, by the way. So he actually needs to be careful that he doesn't overextend with this. Ooh, Prism goes very far forward. Looks like it will be picked off there. Luckily for him, the Archon did not load back in. Here come those Phoenixes again. Yes, there's a couple of Spore Crawlers. Yes, there's a few Queens as well, but a lot of damage can be dealt. Probe's actually now on idle over at the third base. Probably not quite paying attention to those, but at this point, this is where the Phoenixes really shine. None of these units can shoot up, and that means that every single last of these will be picked up as long as the Phoenixes have energy. Only 4 probes end up going down. Couple more Locusts actually now cross the Abyss. 8 workers going down in total. Okay, maybe 9 or 10. That's nothing all too crazy. Nidus Worm once again, though, going up inside of that main base. Stalkers will be warped in immediately. Zest should be able to prevent that one from coming up and dealing all too much damage. Once again, a couple of Swarm Hosts in the back of the main base. This will be scouted as well by Zest, who knows exactly what's going on. Does he still have energy on some of these Phoenixes? I think the majority of them are out. He's still going to try and engage, pick up a couple of these Locusts while they are flying through the sky. Locusts right now, in the meantime, working on a few of those Stargates. I don't think that's too big of a deal because Zest doesn't really want additional Stargates anymore at this point. No Spore Crawlers in this area, but also no more energy on those flyer units. And I think that Zest is probably going to be okay here. Once again, though, soO is cycling towards the right-hand side of the map. Now, in the meantime, while this is going on, right, we do have the Zerg player transitioning. So rather than sticking around on, like, the Roach Ravager Swarm Host style for too long, and dude, the fact that, like, these Phoenixes are mostly out of energy really hurts. He is making the transition right now towards a bunch of Infestors as well. So he's recognizing that that Zest is likely going to hold on here at some point. He's trying to make that call to switch it up a little bit. Now, if you can land, like, a Fungal Growth, actually, on all of these Phoenixes, they are very, very potent. Once again, a few of them are working on the Nexus. This time around, not enough damage coming out of there. And you know what? I like the idea of going Mass Phoenix against someone opening up Swarm Host with what did I call it? Like the Nidus Worm? But I really think the response to add on those couple of spores is really clever too. Nicely done. Once again, Nidus Worm goes up in the main base. Keep in mind, these Nidus Worms are not free. I know a lot of Protoss players think they are, but they aren't. They're pretty expensive. And another one does get killed. Okay. So, in the grand scheme of things, Zerg has actually lost more. Isn't that funny? A lot of these Protoss units are very cost efficient. It looks like Protoss is losing for like the last, I don't know, 8 minutes or so. But he's actually holding on, I think, just fine. And while he's taken a lot of damage, he hasn't been able to secure the 4th yet. The biggest loss by far was losing that 3rd, which could have been prevented, right? With a little bit better positioning, Zest could have prevented that 3rd base from going down in the first place. If that wouldn't have happened, if he wouldn't have been picked off, I really, really think he would have been in a phenomenal position. Right now, though, he's going to have to play catch-up. He's certainly not in a game-winning position here, but I don't think he's out of it yet either. Double Colossus now coming up. Okay, very nice. So, Robotics Bay is going to be the name of the game here for the Protoss player in pink. Colossi, very, very good when it comes to burning up those small light units. They're very good against the Locust Wave in particular. He doesn't seem to be aware, though, of the fact that Zerg isn't really adding on additional Swarm Hosts anymore. But the Colossus should be pretty helpful. That's a lot of Queens, by the way. How many Queens is that? So 17 Queens are available. 17 Queens and 7 Infestors. This is the kind of StarCraft I want to see, okay? This is the kind of stuff I haven't seen before. This is soO very much so thinking on his feet. I guess his thought process is that his best anti-air unit here is the Queen. Corruptors kind of suck. Hydras kind of suck. All of those units kind of suck. Queens, they are probably the best thing to make when your opponent is already so committed right here into Phoenixes. Because they're actually going to be reliable. Before the Corruptors really become useful, they need a bunch of upgrades. Upgrading them from behind when your opponent's already upgrading the Phoenixes. I mean, it's not ideal. It's probably doable if you go like double Spire, but that's such a massive investment. Making the call to go for a bunch of extra Queens there, really cool idea. Now, I don't know what these two Archons are doing. Gotta be careful. Okay, does Cyclone back once again. Nidus Worm going up in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Top left-hand corner, by the way, now also already acquired here by the Zerg. How many Colossi are we talking right now? We're up to 3 Colossi. Okay, very cool. Don't think a lot of damage will be done here. Although there are Infestors and Queens into that. That's very odd. Not something I've seen too much. Well, here we go. Zest wants to break free. I want to break free. Okay, I won't do that to you, but you were thinking it as well, right? You were thinking it as well. He will be able to break out of his natural expansion right now and maybe even secure the base here on the low ground in a little bit now that all the creep is going to be gone. And it looks like the era of Nidus Whack-A-Mole is over, okay? He's been trying to play Whack-A-Mole here with the Nidus Worms for a while. It didn't go perfectly, but he secured the 4th base, and he's actually ahead right now when it comes to the economy. Other than, of course, the fact that soO already has a bit of a bank. Actually, he's 4 workers behind, sorry. For some reason, I looked at those two numbers. I thought that Protoss was the one at the bottom. Okay, so what's going to be the move here? So, one of the things we've seen soO do so far in this matchup is go for his unit composition based around Corruptor, Infestor, Viper, Spore Crawler. That seems to be like his go-to build. Now, he's still being annoying here with the Nidus Worms. I mean, you can't pick up a Creep Tumor with these Phoenixes, so killing the Tumor here is going to be a little bit difficult. It looks like he wants to probably head in that direction again as well with the production here of Neural Parasites. Now, did I see that correctly? Wow, he's making an Ultralisk Cavern. Whoa. Ultralisk Cavern is weird, okay? Making it... Okay, here's the thing. I saw actually someone ask in yesterday's video, why don't players make Ultralisk Caverns anymore? The thing is, Ultralisk Caverns, I mean, they allow you to produce Ultras, obviously, which is okay, but Ultras kind of suck. Ultras really aren't that great of a unit. They are probably the weakest Zerg unit in the grand scheme of things, and while they are pretty good against, like, Terran Bio, most Terran players right now seem to favor mech, they are pretty good in, like, Zerg versus Zerg meta as well when you, like, manage to contain your opponent. Especially against Protoss, they are very, very uncommon. Just because they really just... Half the Protoss units kill them, is what I'm trying to say, okay? Like, even Zealots are good against them. But especially, like, unit compositions based around, like, Archon Immortal Zealot. That's the kind of style that's very, very strong. Now, this is gonna be painful, I think. Well, you know what? Oh, the High Templar! The High Templar! What were they doing there? Oh, dude, how many did he just lose? Whoa, okay. I didn't think that was gonna be that much damage. Zest brought in the High Templar, just lost 5 of them for basically free. Now, I know that he was preoccupied, but... Ooh, that's a big loss. You know what? Maybe he's upgrading them as well, huh? I thought maybe he's just getting the Ultralisk Cavern and maybe he's just getting the upgrade right now because he is in a good spot. So he's like, okay, you know what? I can just do whatever. I'll just get every upgrade I can and go from there. I don't know, though. He doesn't have, like, a lot of upgrades. Right? He's kind of still missing a lot of them. Very interesting. By the way, I can't believe that this... Oh, yeah, okay, I was gonna say, that Overlord is still alive. That one has spawned like 17 Nidus Worms. So losing the High Templar there is painful, because Zest is gonna have to, once again, wait until he gets enough energy out. He did warp in a few High Templar again, only 3 of them this time around. Losing 5 of them full of energy, very, very rough. Because it doesn't allow him to move across the map right now anymore. He's gonna have to play very passively here, going into the future as well. Now, he's been forced to sit back for quite some time, but he's been holding on, right? Now, I really want to know what he wants to do with Ultralisks. He's actually queuing up the secondary upgrade as well. So, the default Protoss unit composition is usually Archon Immortal Zealot. Ooh, we have some nice chain fungals. Looks like they will be recalled without too many of them going down. But the standard unit composition for Protoss is Archon Immortal Zealot into, like, High Templar with Storm, into Carriers with, like, a Mothership, right? Now, none of those units are bad against Ultralisks. Like, Ultras really aren't particularly good against any of these units. Now, I kind of want to see what he decides to go for, and I really do want to see him make at least a bunch of them. That would be sick. That'd be really cool. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe we will learn altogether. Oop. Observer does get picked off, but so does the base. Nice little move right here by Zest. Finally able to deal a little bit of counterattack damage. Now, with that Observer gone... I love it. The drones decide to burrow. And this should be okay. Now, you don't actually want to have too many Stalkers here. I don't think Zest is going to warp in any additional Stalkers. I mean, he could, but... He's probably looking to replace some of that lost supply right now with some more flying units. I think that probably is the correct call. In the meantime, though, soO is advancing. So many queens. How many queens is that? He's got still those 17 queens in total. A couple probably are at home, but I guess the queens are very helpful when it comes to, like, transfusing those Brute Lords. soO is gonna have to fight against the Protoss, who's very heavily going into that Skytol's army, right? Like, he's replacing all of the lost supply with more flying units, especially Tempest, very good in this scenario. Queens obviously don't outrange them, and the Brutes will also be picked off from a distance quite easily. Neural Parasite, though, is the biggest danger here. Now, it looks like the front door is wide open. Actually, getting that Forge would be massive. Forge is actually chrono boosting out one of the upgrades, and there it goes. +3 shields will be denied. This Protoss army, though, it's very good. If you look on Zest, or at Zest Bank right now, He has a ton of minerals, but barely any gas. Looks like this is the engagement that he's waiting for. Nice fungal growth does land already. The High Templar move forward. They need to cast storms. Please cast your storms. Please cast your psionic storms. Where are the storms? Once again, the storms do not go down. Immortals, though, still gunning down all of those queens relatively easily. We do have some neural parasites right now on those Archons as well. Looks like Zest, once again, did not utilize his storm, but he's still doing a good job right here against this army. Obviously, he was busy target firing in a different direction. Looks like most of the Zerg force will be cleaned up, and whatever was left over decides to escape in the night as worm. Somehow, some way, Zest managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Now look at this! soO going for the massive reinforcement. Going for 11 Ultralisks. And they're gonna be maxed out with +3/+3 in a little bit as well. And then a bunch of Zerglings. He decided to dump all of his gas on a whole bunch of Ultras. I'm still skeptical, guys. I'm still skeptical. So, at the minute, Zest is going for a bunch of Colossus. Now, as soon as he realizes that Ultralisks are on the field, I can imagine he's just gonna go full-on Immortal production instead. Immortal Archon Zealot is the name of the game against that kind of style. Okay, he sees them right now. He's seen the Ultralisks. Immediately decides to cancel the Colossus. I think he did anyway, maybe. I don't know, I think it just spawned, but... he immediately does start up the Immortal production. So Immortals deal bonus damage against armored units. Ultralisk, obviously, I guess actually, are they the most armored unit in the game? I say obviously, but I think they are the most armored unit in the game. They have a ton of armor. It's what makes them very strong. Units that deal a lot of damage in single shots are very good against units that have a lot of armor. And Immortals are at the top of that game. So Archon Immortal Zealot would be a very good transition. Zest once again gets close to maxing out. Main base is out, natural is out, third base is going to be out here in just a little bit as well. He needs to secure another expansion, so it looks like he wants to go for this base right over here in the bottom right. One Zergling goes, scouts out exactly what's happening here too. That observer, I mean, he's going to need it over here in the bottom right hand corner in a little bit. I was actually expecting soO to like go for like another attack wave at this point. But he's really playing this passively. He's shown his Ultras. He's like, okay, you know what? I feel confident that I can win here regardless. Really feel like he's making it hard on himself, though, right? Why would you not just reinforce with the same unit composition? Maybe he's going to be able to do something magically, but this building placement over here, very, very good for Zest. And I guess the Colossi is still very good as well when it comes to, like, dealing with those Zerglings. One of the Immortals right now, though, has been assimilated. And that one will be picked off. Bottom right-hand corner also will not be secured here by the Protoss. Zest is starting to run out of resources. Now, his bank is similar to that of the Zerg, but soO is maxed out, right? soO is maxed out. Maybe you should just add on an additional robotics facility. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up to triple robo at this point. Well, looks like that one also. Yeah, a couple of units are just simply walking around. That one will also be cleaned up. I don't think he actually plans on winning with this Ultralisk ball. I think he probably wants to force a response by going for the Ultralisks and then reinforce with units that hard counter the response. So, for example, right, by going for Ultralisks, he knows he's going to be forcing out a ton of Immortals. So, if he decides to then, you know, reinforce with tons of Zerglings after the Immortals are left over, right? I think that's the plan. That's the only thing that really makes sense to me. Force a response of units that are really bad against the counter that comes afterwards. So you gotta be thinking a step ahead. I think this is also probably due to the fact that Protoss is still stuck on 4 bases. And he hasn't been allowed to expand. Now finally, once again, we see a base going down. I think soO is gonna jump on this. I don't think he wants to actually have this base. Have this base taken, that is. Especially if the static defense goes up. I think, though, that Zest wants to defend. I think this is the engagement that we're waiting for. Here we go. Ultralisks decide to march down the ramp. We don't see these units ever in Protoss versus Zerg. I'm curious to see how they're going to fare in the engagement. High Templar this time around do utilize their Psionic Storm. A couple of Corruptors in the sky as well. You can see the Ultralisks just derping in the back. A lot of the probes, though, do already go down. Immortals target firing down as many of these Ultras as possible, and the Ultras absolutely evaporate. The Ultras just die. Look at the Ultralisks. They do nothing. Ultras suck. I've been telling you. Oh, man, what were those Ultras supposed to do? I was so excited. Yeah, okay. So I think that is the plan. He's not reinforcing with 114 Zerglings. He's forcing the Ultralisks out of his opponent and then goes for Zerglings together with 9 Brute Lords. It is a very smart tactical play. I really wonder, though, if he couldn't have just gone for, like, a similar approach earlier. Alright. Yeah, so Brute Lord... I mean, if there's one unit that, like, Immortals are bad against, it's like Brute Lords and Zerglings, right? I guess that's 2 units, but you get what I mean. Massive fungal growth actually goes down here as well. The Lynx managed to get a wrap around. And I think, you know what I think was going on here?